07, and welcome aboard all you cadets, captains, Bolians, and Tholians. I'm Captain Archer, and today we're looking at Star Trek Online. Back in February 2010, Cryptic Studios launched the first Star Trek MMO, set 30 years after the events of Star Trek Nemesis. Since then, there have been years of development, and now the question is it still worth playing? As someone who's been playing and keeping tabs on STO over the years, I'll do my best to reason out the good and the bad and the ugly that might await returning captains or brand new cadets. We're going to look at key aspects of the game, and I'll try my best to share what I've experienced along the way. First off, and it's probably the most obvious, it's Star Trek. I mean, it's right there in the name. Players can take on the role of a Starfleet officer, a Klingon warrior, a Romulan agent, or many other choices for their vision of Trek. With starting options ranging from Discovery Era, the original series, Next Gen, and more, STO gives you a lot of freedom to explore a character concept and live your best Trek life. But this is a free-to-play game, which is nice, until you notice that a lot of these options require cash or Zen store purchases. Oh yes, the free-to-play model is a double-edged batleth for sure. It's nice because at the end of this video, you could go grab the client, install, and be cruising around the Alpha Quadrant in no time at all. And of course at a Ferengi's favorite price, free. But they do a good job of tempting you with various purchases, packs, bundles, and sales. The standard starter packs, like you see in many free-to-play models, aren't a bad deal if you want a boost. But you may not be able to captain the exact ship you want without shelling out as much as several $100s. And if it's from a lockbox, you're at the mercy of the luck of the draw. But I'm not here to demonize the free-to-play model. A lot of people have very strong opinions about that. They obviously have to earn an income on their game, and if you're patient, can shop sales, specials, and promotions, you can get access to a lot of great ships, costume options, and the like. Just remember the rules of acquisition, if you've got the lobes for it. I've spent a few $100 over the course of the life of the game, and I've got a pretty good assortment of ships and upgrades to show for it that I feel is a fair trade for the enjoyment I've received in return. But of course, there's still a lot of ships I wish I had, but I'm not willing to spend the kind of cash required to unlock them. And at the end of the day, however much you want to spend the game is up to the individual. We all have our place in the free-to-play ecosystem, from the strictly free-only players up to the George and Gracie-sized spenders.
Admiral, there be whales here!
But anyways, let's get back underway. So, you've got the game, you've created your character. What are you in for? Continuing our kind of compliment sandwich format, let's talk about the actual gameplay now. The space fights can be a lot of fun. You can complete almost any of the normal content without knowing the most meta builds. Cruising around in your escort ship blazing away with cannons and destroying enemy vessel feels extremely satisfying. Customizing your loadouts and bridge officer abilities is one of the biggest draws of the STO universe, and one of the main reasons I keep coming back. On the flip side are the ground missions. A lot of people have very strong feelings about these, and consider it one of the weakest parts of the game. While I totally agree it's not nearly as fun or as well polished as the space content, the away missions ground you in the Trek experience, and I'm glad it's in the game. I find it entertaining in small doses, and the newer content they've added seems to be a lot more entertaining than some of the early missions, which can get very repetitive and grindy. Just be prepared for chaotic encounters, sometimes sluggish response in combat, and massive amounts of gears and items to try and figure out. At least, it's nice to have options. Speaking of newer content, so I came back to STO several months ago following the watching of Discovery and Picard. I was curious if they had been adding content for the new shows, and I wasn't disappointed. In fact, there's a ton of content to go through. Various episodic mission chains let you pick a theme and interact with your own Star Trek stories. From Borg invasions to Romulan intrigues, there's a lot of content to keep you going. Added to this are the frequent themed events, and there's a lot to do and see. I'm sure most dedicated players for this game can chew through the new content in no time, but I think that's pretty much true of any MMO. That being said, the content can be very hit or miss in quality. From the overall storyline to the quality of the voice acting and sometimes repetitive nature of the goals. It really stands out during some missions with voice work from the actual show actors, which I absolutely love and cannot commend them enough for. To some voice work that is very clearly them grabbing someone from down the hall and shoving a script in their face saying, "Read! Read!" Again, the quality tends to improve with the later editions of the game. The pacing can sometimes be a little frantic as well. As I mentioned, I started playing STO again a while back. While I had max level admirals already, it had been long enough that I wanted to learn the game again from the ground up. I created a new character opting for the Discovery Era start, which was a new addition, and within about 2 weeks of very casual playing, I was already max level. And I felt I was still trying to remember the very basic fundamentals of the game. Luckily, even though this is an MMO, you can do a ton of content solo, and if you need a team, things like the TFOs or Task Force operations, they make it easy to get into a pickup group and accomplish this content. There is, of course, a downside to so much content, and that there is so much to learn. You don't need to be well-versed in the intricacies of the mechanics to have a good time, but I could see where if you get discouraged or frustrated, some of the more esoteric portions of the gameplay are either poorly explained or not readily apparent. Some of these items include things like the new bridge officers and their training or leveling, the duty officer roles, R&D mechanics, daily dilithium refinements, benefits of joining a fleet, the differences between ship tiers, gear upgrades, reputation systems, admiralty gameplay, and more. They usually have tooltips that appear at the times these new mechanics go online for the character. And I would say, take your time, read through them, try and understand what they're trying to teach you. There's a lot of resources available in-game and online both, and sometimes it just takes a little bit of research. I do recommend new players trying the game out for the first time try and join a fleet that's willing to help out newer players. Being able to bounce questions off of friendly people that have been serving with distinction for years can really add a positive experience to your time as you get to grips with the larger game. So it's a very accessible game, and you can complete a lot of the content, but there's also a lot of challenge out there for those of you that like to get into the nitty-gritty of the game mechanics, finding that best optimized build to challenge the hardest content. You've got a lot of stuff to do here as well. But don't let this intimidate you casual flyers. As I mentioned earlier, there's a ton of content that you can enjoy at just very basic understanding of any MMO mechanic or RPG. This phaser has a better DPS rating than the one I've got currently equipped? Guess I'll put it on. It's really that easy. At the end of the day, STO is a fun but flawed game that has a lot of heart. If you're a Trekkie, or a sci-fi junkie looking for new challenges, I say give it a try. Is it for everybody? Oh no. One of my favorite things though about this game is running into characters, ships, and settings that I love and recognize from the various eras of Trek. Finding little Easter eggs and tie-ins really does a lot to bring it home for me, and sometimes just sitting there watching the ships fly by in space dock can make my evening. Anyways, anything I missed? There's a lot to cover here. What's your favorite or least favorite parts of the game? Have any questions? I always try to respond as best I can, so leave a comment below. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, or you can catch me live streaming on Twitch. In the meantime, set your phasers to stun, and remember, never volunteer for the shuttle missions. Keep it Starfleet, and we'll see you next time. Okay, here we go. Oh no! Wait! Hold on! Come on! We can do it! Yes!